Welcome back to this Friday Fuse Foray. Today, we continue on with our steering column, our zombie verter, and our built-up fuse block here. So let's start off with a little bit of a review. We have the first fuse block here, which gets permanent power from the battery. This simulates our battery. Then we have our second fuse block here, which gets its ignition key on power. And today we need to do something about our third signal, which is the start position. And our subscriber has spoken in a unanimous vote, has voted that we should add a third fuse block. So we will be doing just that. Although in this one, we only have the use for one fuse, simply we will just cut the bus bar. So here is our bus bar. Obviously, it accommodates up to 4 fuses. We can just snip one. We can snip it anywhere we like to make it either a 1 and 3 or 2 and 2 type of setup. So we will snip off the top one, and that will give us the ability to only feed the start position signal to the top fuse, which will then continue on to our zombie on pin 52. So let's do that. So in a prior video, I told you about addition by subtraction, and that's what we're going to be doing here. We're just going to snip one of these, so it's 1, and then the other 3 will bind or extend the middle, what will end up being the middle block, and this will be our ignition key on. So I could just simply snip it, but what I'm going to try and do is cut a little section out to minimize any chance of them touching. Can these little dykes do it? Nope. Wait, they did it. Okay, and then I'm just going to cut a little section out. I love it how it's crooked. That's just a touch of a pro right there. So we'll just cut it here. Hopefully you can't see the face I'm making. Okay. And as they say, Bob is your uncle. All right, I'm gonna run to the kitchen, take some pictures for the forum of this amazingness, and I'll be back. And so here we go. Second verse, same as the first. Simply snap this on. We've already know what I mean when I say simply. Oh, it worked. Clicked on there, very nice. So now we have permanent power, ignition, and start. Only going to be using the top one here. So we really don't need this here, and I'm not going to populate it. That's the beauty of a DIY, doing this yourself. You control what goes in there, what doesn't. And so all we need is just a single dude, and we will now take our start wire. I hope you can see here. So I'm just taking the start wire. It still has the inline fuse on it. That's what we are eliminating. I'm going to simply snip that guy off. And then I am going to use my JTNT Products wire cutters. Does this have a part number on it? These are all right. They're not amazeballs, but they're all right. And as I say that, they didn't completely pull that off, but that's because it was kind of double shrunk. Yes, this is a little bit too long. Did that on purpose because I wanted to get rid of all that stuffness on it. Trying to see how to do this. I may show you how I beef these up, and this is pretty silly. Glasses off. And all I'm doing is putting some heat shrink on there. but I'm not even putting it where it really belongs, not on the exposed stuff. I'm just trying to make the wire insulation fatter, if you will. So then we just do this. Don't keep the fire in the same spot, so just keep moving it, and as long as you keep moving it, you don't have to know what you're doing. Spoon the wire if you can, move the fire back and forth if you can, and it will be just fine. Okay. Then we bend this back on itself, whether we need to or not. I think we kind of need to, because it's hard to get these like in the right gauge sizes, if you will. They always want you to use like really fatter wires. Actually, this one may have been just fine without bending it, but we'll see what happens. It's weird how the tool always wants to face opposite direction from me for me to read what the wire gauges are. That's why I keep kind of looking foolish with it. It's always the other way. That's my story. You've already seen horrible crimping a million times, I'm sure. Okay, that's actually pretty darn good. Yeah, that's when the camera decides to focus, if ever. That's pretty good. Now I just want to make sure I put it in the right opening here. So this is going to be coming in, and because this isn't a full bar like on the middle one, I could have just put it anywhere of these, but this one has to be on the top one, so it goes in here. Okay, so there we have it. And now we need to run a wire from the output of this one. We're going to put a fuse in here, like a 1 or a 2 amp, 3 if we have to, and then all we have to do is just run it from here to the zombie. So let me go get another red wire. I really need to decide what I'm going to do about that, but for demo purposes, I'm using red because it's all like 12 volts going into the zombie. So here I am, have another wire that's already crimped to go on the pin on the VCU. I just need to strip the other end and then crimp it into the fuse holder thingy. So for this one, this is going to be just a regular end, and I think I do want to use a bit of this. I'm going to try to use a little bit of heat shrink on it just to give it a little bit strength. Here we go. Glasses off. Which one are you? Why do I always forget? Why do I always do it wrong? Okay, and then a smaller attempt back at it. And that's gooder. Which one do we use? I mean, I know they kind of tell you the sizes, but there's you just got to kind of go by feel on these. The sizes aren't really gospel. Of course, we got tangled here. My little heat shrink was running away, and see, so then we just go like this, and we're gonna heat shrink that on there. Try to do this one. I'm gonna try to do this one with my glasses on so I can actually see what I'm shrinking. So spin the wire and move the flame back and forth, okay? Just don't stay in the same spot. It's tempting. Okay, so that's that. All right, and that's our fuse right here on the top. So we just have to insert it. And come on, click for once. Oh, it clicked without a screwdriver. Nice. There it is. And this time I have a 5 amp fuse. They're kind of sneaking up on me. 1, 3, 5. And what is the next one going to be? 10, 15? What kind of operation are we running here? I know this is a 5, but is there a top and bottom for a 5? Look at that. I like it. Okay, so this is going to be our permanent, ignition, and startition. So at this point, we need our trusty laptop back out here. Okay, so while my laptop is waking up here, come on, you wake up. Really? There we go. So we no longer need that. Forgot to do my laser pointer, so that divides the permanent from the ignition, and that imaginary line divides the ignition from the start. Although only the top one, as these 3 will join these 4, I'm sure. Okay, so we still have not connected the output of our start fuse block to pin number 52, 56, 55, 54, 53, 52. Okay, so here to the laptop, I'm not going to show screens. I think you guys can trust me by now. So we jump to our network, and it's not there because we didn't turn it on yet. So we turn it on. Tell me, and I should know this, I'm an IT guy, this is exactly what I do. Should this automatically update? It never pops up the new network if I leave that on. I can leave this thing on and go mow the lawn and nothing would happen. So I have to click off of it. And then as soon as I go back in, it's there now. So yeah, mini rent opportunity there. Back to our web browser, jump to spot values. Okay, so under spot values, you guys know the routine. We enable auto refresh, and then we press the refresh option. And now we're going to be looking here as always. So the first thing on here, first attribute, I guess it's called, is version 205A, and the next one puts us in op mode and it's off. So we've been through all that. So now I turn the key to the on position, nothing happens, and then I continue on for one momentary click and it puts us in run. Okay, so now we're back to square one, if you will. But now, instead of inline fuses, we have our fuse block. I am very happy with this. We have room to grow, and we will. So we are thinking of doing brakes on the permanent power fuse, backup on the ignition, and then these will also be ignition. Nothing else goes on here except for the start fuse for our start feature, if you will, functionality. Something that I'm going to do is continue on with everything that's related to the VCU. So although I keep giving examples of brakes and backup, what we're going to do is next either add the safety box on the ignition side or add a direction signal, because the VCU has two pins that we haven't talked about yet, pin 53 and pin 54. Those are reverse and forward. Those need to tell the VCU which direction you want the motor to spin. And so that needs 12 volt power. And so probably this second option here is what I'm going to call direction. And later we may actually build off our backup lights off of that circuit as well. So that's something, and then that would drop off our safety box to this third position, and the safety box would obviously get its power through ignition on. And then there's a fourth option. We may put inverter power on here. So ideally, this is not mandatory, but when I work with a product, I trust it, and I'm going to do the default settings first before thinking that I know better than the developer, inventor, and so on. And there's times where you customize, but we will always start following procedure. So our VCU will send a signal, probably using this fourth location here, to an inverter relay to turn on our inverter, which is a nice segue on what may come next. And little teaser here that the nice thing about this setup is that this doesn't just take fuse blocks in Lego formation. We can even add little relay holders here and run relays off of it as well. So I'm really excited about doing that part, and then you will see the complete little build that we can be proud of. So thanks, guys. This test proves positive, so that's good. We're going to turn this on and wrap up this video, and stick around, more to come.